Welcome back to the Kelly Roach Show. Super pumped to have my new friend, Liam Thurman, here with me today. He is retired international speaker, coach, and author. He's written 5 incredible books and helped individuals around the world to achieve their business and financial goals. And he is going to talk to us today about his newest book coming out, The Closer's Edge. So, Liam, welcome to the show.
Kelly, I appreciate it. I know you did our show a couple of weeks ago, and we still have people that are watching it and enjoying it. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show. So thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about the premise for The Closer's Edge. How did this book come about, Liam?
I have brands that I have. The first 4 books that I wrote was in the brand of the Babe Ruth Bucket Myths and Truths series. And so the first book was Myths and Truths of Tax-Free Retirement. The second one was Myths and Truths of Reverse Mortgage, Reverse Purchase. The third one was Myths and Truths of Estate Planning Failures. And then the fourth one was on taxes. So that's in the brand of the Babe Ruth Bucket. And we use that for financial planners that want to do their own books. Like I've got a gentleman that does special needs planning. So he's going to do a Babe Ruth Bucket, Myths and Truths of Special Needs Planning. So that fits in that kind of brand, right? He doesn't have to piggyback with me. He can write his own book and he have his own thing and use our brand and go from there. So The Closer's Edge is the first book in my brand, the exception to the rule. There's plenty of explanation in life, but no excuses. And so what that book is about, and it's for everybody. I come from the financial world, but I can sell ice to an Eskimo, people say. I always say ketchup to an Eskimo, but nobody understands that. But anyway, so what I try to do is I wanted to do a series of books in the exception to the rule attached to my biography. That's my biography, the exception to the rule. Plenty of explanation, but no excuses. But I wanted to take the brand and use it for people like yourself, like Kelly Roach. It's the exception to the rule. Well, why is that? Well, then you tell your story and you become part of that series. And so the Closer's Edge was deliberately designed so anybody that sells anything can pick up this book and go, oh, wow, that helps me. I don't have to be a financial planner to do this. He's telling me, like a quick example, one of the stories in the book is put your hand on the door. And people say, what does that mean? I said, well, be willing to leave. If somebody doesn't want to, when you're young and you're buying a car, you let them go talk to 4 different managers and they still sell you the price you didn't want to pay. Well, when you get older, you realize I can go down the street and get the same car for the money I wanted to spend. So put your hand on the door and leave. It's really a different kind of book. And as people listen, and I'm sure as you've got to know me, I'm not a typical guy, right? I'm always energy. I'm all excited. And I do all that kind of stuff. But I tell people, I look at things a little bit different than most people would. And a lot of times it just gives you a different perspective on how maybe you should be closing or selling or whatever.
Yeah. Now, talk to me a little bit about how the exception to the rule concept came up. So this is basically you really studying and looking at what makes exceptional people achieve extraordinary things, right? So talk to me a little bit about why that came up and why you decided to build this new brand after retirement that is going to be releasing all of these other resources to help people to achieve success.
The reason I say retired, I work 20 hours a week. I play golf. I'm playing golf here in a couple more minutes, but anyway, I do a lot of that. But I do the 20 hours a week, just to keep me where I need to be. And I tell people I say retired because I've learned to work smarter, instead of harder, right? So I've been able to do that. But I'll tell you where it came from, and it came years ago. I was a young agent in the field, and I remember, this is a true story. This is exactly how it came about. And these are the first 2 chapters of my biography that's getting finished up here relatively soon. And so, real quickly, I was basically going out, selling and all that. It was late at night. I have 5 kids under the age of 5, and it was 12 o'clock midnight. I pull up at this gas station. I'm filling up my tank, going home. I'm starving. I go in to get a hot dog, and they're all shriveled up. And I asked the guy, I said, how long have the hot dogs been on there? He said, about 3 weeks. I said, I'm not going to get a hot dog. And so I got in the car and I left. I thought to myself, when I come back through here next time, he's probably still going to be working here. And so a couple of weeks later, I went to get a Mother's Day gift from my mom, a little butterfly trinket. I had the money at the time. I couldn't afford a whole lot. So I got a little nothing. But it means something to my mama, so I put it on the sale thing, and the lady says, "Hey, can I wrap this up for you?" I said, "Sure." And remember, I'm 25 years old, so I'm very impatient. It takes her an hour to wrap this stupid gift up, a little tiny little nothing.
Yeah.
And she brings it back, and the gift was more, the way she wrapped it made the gift look a lot more valuable than it was.
Mm-hmm.
As tears were coming down my face, I said, I will never remember your name, but I will never forget this story. And that's how the book starts. And that's how the exception to the rule starts. You know, me and my sister were born in the same family. My dad was an orphan. My dad left school in his sophomore year. My dad lied on his application to the Army, was in the Army for 6 years. My dad built the first Alzheimer's facility in Ohio. My dad died a millionaire. My dad's a great story. My sister died just last year. I think it's why people like me. I'm real. But anyway, I hope that's why. She was a drug addict for most of her life, and the demon didn't get her. She died of sleep apnea, so that was her test. Her test came back negative, and she had no drugs in her, no alcohol, so she just died. And so I was really glad that the demon didn't get her. But
Mm-hmm.
the book is about everybody's given an opportunity. If people say, oh, white privilege, I can show you the house that I lived in when I grew up, and the apartments that my dad did, and the hell my dad went through, as an orphan and all that. And it's not true. But I can tell you that me and my sister had the same opportunities, and she went a different direction. I love my sister to death. She's good. There are good people that make bad choices, so in that particular case, the book is about that. And so you say, well, how's that tie into the closer's edge? It has everything to do with it. And what I mean by that is the exception to the rule series can be anything and anybody that wants to be outstanding. We take, people that are ordinary, and we show them that they're extraordinary. I was hired by a union to come in and talk to all these union people, and they were doing a podcast with the exception to the rule. And this guy comes in and he talks about doing the 4-month thing where they do the whatever that thing is, the mountain thing where people walk, what's the trail, or some kind of trail, I can't think of the name of it, but Appalachian Trail, right? And so so all these people that are coming on next come into the room, the next guy, and said, I don't have a story like that. And I said, yes, you do. And we sat down and we found that every single person out there has an extraordinary story to tell. And everybody out there that thinks they're ordinary really isn't. You are extraordinary. And that's what the whole thing's all about. It can be from selling to living to life experiences. An individual like you've got a story to tell, and people need to hear it. And I think one of the reasons why we've gotten together is because we believe that we can impact a lot of
Yeah.
people. And I hope that this show does that. I apologize
Yeah.
for emotional there. I haven't talked about my sister for a long time.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you shared, and it's absolutely true. And why I love the concept that you're talking about here, Liam, is that you're striving to remind people or to show people, maybe for the first time, or maybe they just needed a reminder that they are capable of extraordinary things, and that we're each unique individuals that were given gifts, and that, just by believing in someone and telling someone that you believe in them, they behave differently, right? Like we rise to the expectation that we have of ourselves or that others have of us. And so I love that you're working to instill that message in people and to remind people to hold themselves to that standard, and that they are capable, right? Because it's so easy to slip back. Even when you're in pursuit of big things, it's so easy to slip back into a very small mindset.
Correct. When I do my speaking and people, have me come in, I tell people, listen, I'm about as real as you can get. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have energy. I'm the kind of guy that you want to hire at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to do something on compliance. Nobody's going to fall asleep. You know what I mean? Today, as I was thinking about the show, I thought about, what could I leave somebody? I know we only have a small bit of time, but I wrote down steps of success, right? I used to put things in order. I used to say like the 10 steps of
Yeah.
success, the 10 steps of goal setting.
Yeah.
And then people would say to me, they say, well, I think 1 should be 3 and 3 should be 1 and 4 should be 7. And I said, just forget it.
Yeah.
So I got a real quick list for your listeners, and there's steps of success. And I've got a video that we're tightening up to the next couple of days. It'll be out. But I also do reels where I just do one at a time, so that'll be out too. And we'll let people know how to get to that. But the steps of success that I thought of today when I was thinking about the show were, and again, they're not in any particular order, but vision, self-control, commitment, consistency, motivation, reward, faith, desire, never say die attitude, quitting is never an option, and love. And the way I put all that together, I tell people that, first of all, you got to love what you're doing. but you got to
Yeah.
have a vision to know what that is. You got to have commitment, which ties right into consistency. Like, when I started my weight loss thing again for the 90 millionth time, I had to be, committed, right? And I'm still
Yes.
tell people, we joked in the green room. I said, I lost 40 pounds and nobody can tell because that's how fat I was. That's what happens. But you got to have all that put together, the desire, the faith. If you want to be an entrepreneur, and one of the things that I think that we do so well, me and you, and one of the reasons I wanted to engage with you was I don't want it just to be a white male telling everybody that I want powerful females like yourself. I got Don Graves, a powerful black gentleman that I work with out of Chicago. And when we do our master classes, and I know you've agreed to do that with us, when we go out there and people see us, I want them to see that it's everybody, and that's what the exception to rules about. You don't necessarily have to be big time, Anthony Robbins type person. We've all got that ability, and we've all got, and I love Anthony Robbins. I love Zig Ziglar. I do a lot of Ziglarisms, right? And, I always tell people every day's a great day. You just try missing one of them, right? That's a Zig Ziglar, And so I tell people that, when you're trying to be successful, you've got to write it down. You've got to focus, right? You've got to be motivated. And I do believe that, and when I say faith, people go, oh, you mean you got to be a Christian? Well, I'm a Christian. I think you should be. I think you might want to think about that before you leave here. But I think that faith is important. Faith to me is believing in something you cannot see. Well, that's the same thing in any kind of job or entrepreneurship or whatever you're wanting to do. You don't see it, but you got to have faith that it's going to happen. Yes?
100%. I mean, I think in those steps to success, you really nailed it. And it's such a great reminder because, I work with exceptional people every single day that have huge dreams that want to accomplish these unbelievable things. And I think that what happens is you start the day and you want to be that person that is embodying all of those things. And then by 8:30, crap is hitting the fan and this goes wrong and this comes up and, this, that, and the other thing. And you forget who you are. Right. And so I love the whole concept of, what you're doing with the exception because people do need that reminder. Now, if you were going to give just one or two tips from the Closer's Edge book before we get ready to wrap up here, what would be a few of the tips from the book in terms of business owners that are listening that want to make more sales? They want to grow more quickly. They want to have more success in their businesses.
One of the benefits with me is I've been given, a gift to go anywhere in any business and be able to tell them what they could do better, And one of the things one of the stories in the book, I talk about going into a car dealership. And I told my buddy who owns a big Chrysler dealership, we went to school together and his dad passed. Now he's the owner of it. And it's a big dealership in town. I said, Chris, every time I come in here, I said, to look for a car, I said, I get a salesman comes out, he hands me his business card. And the business card tells me everything I need to know. Usually it's somebody else's name crossed out and his name written on there because his cards haven't come in. So it tells me one of two things. He just got there or he's leaving soon. And so I tell people that a lot of times it's perception, right? Like I don't wear a tie. So if you call me and say, hey, I want you to do a show for me. I want you to come out and speak to my people. Understand this. I wear a jacket, but I will not wear a tie. And I don't wear a tie because politicians wear ties. So I don't want to be tied. And I get it. A lot of great salesmen, wear the tie. Ziegler always did. Not me, not doing it. But so that's there. But the other thing I would probably say in the Closer's Edge, other than that point there, was that when you have to believe in yourself. And I tell people that one of the things that I do, and I talk about this in the chapter about seminars, I tell people, I say, listen, I do my seminars or I do my presentation 10 times before I ever get to do my presentation. And so you have to be prepared, right? And I remember one time that I was called into a meeting of financial planners, and they tried to sabotage me, right? Not meanly, but they weren't going to tell me what I was going to talk about. And so I get up on stage and there's 55, maybe 60 agents. And they said, we're going to put you on the spot today and we're going to have you answer questions on objections. Well, had I not prepared for that meeting, I might have been, but I've handled objections all my life. And the number one objection I always get, and it was no different. They said, well, I want to think about it. Right. And they say, well, how do you handle it? I said, well, I handle that before I ever close the deal. They said, what do you mean? I said, it's the very first sentence out of my mouth. I said, Kelly, listen, we're going to do three things today. Right. You're either going to say yes, no, or I want to think about it. Yes. And if you notice, every time I talk, I say yes. because I want to hear yes. So
Yeah.
get in that habit. And it's so funny. People that I've trained, when I talk to them, I hear them say yes. I love it. I love it. So you can say anything, but yes is what I say. And so I said, so then and I said, but here's what we're going to do, Kelly. When we get to the end, I want you just to say yes or no. Let's agree that if you say, I want to think about it, you're really just being polite, either telling me I didn't do a good enough job or you're not buying. Would you agree with
Mm-hmm.
that, Kelly? And you say,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I said, okay, good. So, and then when we get to the end, I remind them we've already discussed this. That's not going to be an issue. So if you still say, I want to think about it, then let me figure out which one is it. And I never say but, I say and. Okay, and let's do this, Kelly. Because if I say, well, but Kelly, and Kelly, well, I'm going to go back then and cover what maybe you didn't understand. And then it puts you back in the hot seat, right? Now you got
Mm-hmm.
to tell me why you said. I hope that's what you're looking for. I'm just, that's a bunch of stuff that's in there, but
Yeah, no, I mean it's great and it's so funny because I feel like when you're early in your career, you start really trying to learn sales technique and effective sales leadership and communication, all of these things. But once you've been in business for a long time, I feel like the edges get really round, right? And the sword is not as sharp. And so I think a lot of the things that you're talking about here, just that little thing about perception, and I'll share a quick story from today, actually. For those that are watching this video, I'm wearing a blazer dress right now, like a suit that's a blazer. And I very often, when I'm on camera, have a blazer on. And I was interviewing earlier today, and I had like 6 interviews today. And one of the gentlemen that I had a podcast interview with said, do you dress like that every day? And I said, most days I do. I said, I charge between $30,000 and $80,000 for my programs. Most of my clients are investing heavily to work with my organization. And, I tend to try and show up in a way that commands what I am asking or expecting and want to see in return. And it's those little things, right, that I don't think people really think about. And it goes back to what you said about you walked in the dealership and you're getting the card with the name scratched out. And it's like, oh my gosh, like what could be a worse impression? And I liken that to now that we do business on Zoom, thinking about like people show up with, junk in their behind their cameras or, in loud spaces or, without a lighting or whatever it is, right? And everybody has their own personal brand. So like my personal brand is a bit more formal. A lot of other people's personal brand is not. Like you have your personal brand, Liam, where you're like, I'll wear a jacket, but I'm not wearing a tie, right? And that's like my husband. We went to a wedding the other day and he's like, I'll wear a suit, but I'm not wearing a jacket. He had his shirt, he had his tie, he had the pants, but he's like, I am not wearing a jacket. I'm not in the wedding. I'm not wearing a jacket. I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight this battle. That's his personal brand. I'm like, I'm letting him roll with it, right? But that's the thing is like understanding the perception that you want to command and create, and then doing things in alignment with it. And what I'm hearing you say about the book, Liam, is that you're kind of reminding us of all these little things that are like, it's sharpening the saw, it's sharpening the tool. You said you're only working 20 hours a week now. Well, the more effective everything that you do is, the less you need to do of it. And I think a lot of people are doing a lot of things very ineffectively, which means they have to work more and more and more. So I am looking forward to reading the book. And it sounds like to me, there's a lot of things in it that apply really across the board, whether you're the person running the company or whether it's going to a sales rep in your team or a leader that's managing a division for you, right?
yeah, and there's a lot of neat things in there. That the last piece that I want to share with everybody is like, one of the things back to Chris's car dealership, I said, how long does it take to close a deal? He said, we try to get it done in an hour, but it takes 3 hours. I said, why is that? He said, well, I said, well, you can do it. I said, and then how long does it take for the first payment to get to the dealership? He said 60 days. I said, well, why don't you do an advertisement where you say, listen, if we can't get you done in an hour, we will pay your first 2 payments. You don't pay for 90 days. And he said, well, we already do that. I said, I understand that. Use your negative as a
Yeah.
positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the greatest things, and I'll leave you with this. My dad said to me a long time ago, and I didn't understand it. And it's unfortunate. I didn't listen to my dad until long after he was gone.
Yeah.
But he said to me, he said, every time I said something, I'd come to him. He said, Billy, I don't care. And I said, what do you mean you don't care? It hurt my heart. So one day
Yeah.
we're sitting down in the backyard having a beer, and I said, Dad, I said, why do you always say you don't care? He said, Billy, it's not that I don't care. I just want you to learn. Let it go. And if you miss a sale, so what?
Yeah.
Every no is another yes. You just got to get through all the no's. I tell
Yeah.
everybody, if you get 100 people and you actually talk to them, you'll never get 100 no's. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's so true. And what I see every single day is people don't even go for the no. They don't make enough asks. They don't put enough lines in the water. And then they spend all day, every day stressing about how they're going to grow, how they're going to close a client, how they're going to make money, instead of spending that time actually taking shots, which is the only way that you can actually make money. So I
Pete
love
Rose
that.
said there's no such thing as a slump. Just keep swinging.
You just keep swinging. And I
Yeah.
guess that goes to the Babe Ruth bucket system, right? So I love that. I love that. So, Liam, let's tell everyone everywhere that they can catch up with you, read your books, check out your movement. You've touched so many people globally in your world, and you continue to do that. Where can people connect with you to learn more?
Well, the email is real simple. The Liam group at gmail.com. It's THELIAM group
Yep.
at gmail.com. If they want to find me on Facebook, it's William Thurman Preacher Bill. I've got three names, kind of like, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God. Nowhere near as powerful as those three names, but I go by, Bill, Liam, and Preacher Bill. Liam's my pen name, but you can find me on the Facebook page there, and then you can go to my different groups that are involved. Making the Difference Foundation is one of my groups that we've done for 35 years. It's a anthropic group that we give away a lot of stuff, take care of inner city kids, all that kind of stuff. That'll be another show, but that's how they can catch me. I have no problem giving out my cell phone, 937-672-1961. And again, I love, if you need me to speak. I know we're going to be announcing, hopefully the next couple months, me and you doing a master class together, and either live or virtual. I know you're very busy and very sought after, and so hopefully we can get you to do one or two with us on the stage, and we're looking forward to that. But again, I can only stress, thank you so much for having me. We enjoyed having you on as well, and hopefully we'll be able to do some more stuff together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show today, Liam. And everybody, check out the links down below. We're going to put Liam's books and some information about the Closer's Edge. Thanks for being here, Liam. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let's sharpen that saw. Remember that if you don't take the shot, you can never get the prize. So hope everybody takes some action based on what we discussed here today. We'll see you back here next week.